Thank you, Jude, for having me on the show. The MedTech is the emerging sector. If you look at health services, maybe healthcare as whole, there are 4 core segments. One is pharma, second is health services, third is MedTech, and fourth is medical education. So in that, I think if you look at health services, it got the attention over the past few years. Pharma has been the early raiser in this industry. Then came the single specialty. Now we are seeing a lot of attention in the MedTech space because MedTech today is still 80% import dependent. So now I think there's a lot of initiatives, government supported initiatives happening in terms of Make in India. That really is driving the investor interest in this space. I'm sure it's going to be here for a long time to come.
Right. So do you feel a lot more investor interest will lie in manufacturing, given the fact that MedTech was so import dependent, but that's changing now? So manufacturing is one area that could see investor interest. Where else do you see a whole lot of?
So manufacturing is one. Then AI enabled healthcare. So even in tech, AI is playing a big role. Robotics is playing a big role. So all this, India is well poised to take advantage of the changing ecosystem in the personalized medicine arena.
Right.
So AI in diagnosis, AI in treatment planning. Then also, if you talk about robotics, then the areas like genomics, proteomics, metabolomics. So we have a huge amount of humongous clinical data available with us. So that will make us a front-end player in the MedTech space.
Right. In fact, we'll come to AI in just a bit, but I want to break down the kind of investments that you're seeing within the MedTech sector itself. Like you rightly said, it accounted for half of all investments in 2024. Hospitals continue to be a strong player, coming in second. Deal sizes have also vastly improved in the recent past, but within the healthcare space, if you take a look at MedTech itself, where do you see the share of overall PE and VC investments within MedTech growing henceforth? What is the growth trajectory that you foresee?
So I think in vitro diagnostics is where we will see a lot of investments. Then implantable devices is the second one, and we still have, when it comes to capital instruments, the China is still leading the race, but I'm sure India also will catch up at some time when probably the medical electronics based MedTech also takes its own share. But currently a lot of investments in vitro diagnostics and medical devices, especially implantable devices space.
But where is this growing from year on year, Dr. Velu? Right now it does occupy a very healthy percentage in terms of investments itself, the overall investment scenario. Do you see growth year on year on a sustained basis?
No,
and if
I
yes,
think
to what extent?
Overall healthcare, if you say I'm in all our companies now, we got investments in 2 of our companies, which is both Newberg and Maxivision over the past 2 years, and we hope Trivitron is also one of our, we see a lot of investment interest there, and a lot of other Indian companies are also getting huge amount of investment interest, including control transactions have happened, which we thought will happen. So the PE investors are looking at MedTech as a very big area of growth. So I think it will continue for a long time to come, in my opinion.
You mentioned AI being a very important factor in the overall growth and the overall health of the MedTech segment itself. Which areas of AI do you feel hold the most promise? For the longest time now, for over half a decade or so, we've been talking about AI's role in diagnostics, reading reports, the need to eliminate a human eye to go about making interpretations. Do you see a lot more progress than this, or do you see some sort of consolidation on this front with regard to enhancing these features a lot more? Where else can AI actually go about making a difference?
AI will be pretty much there in every part of healthcare, starting from either it is tech or service provisioning or treatment planning or diagnosis. I think AI can be pretty much, it's like olden days internet or emails. It's as simple as that. So it's moving forward. AI will be there everywhere, but innovation and adaptation is the key. And in that also the data, availability of clinical data puts us in a very unique position, because we have 1.4 billion people. Today data is not fully stratified, and if you keep this stratified data in some form, I think a lot of innovations can come out of AI. So while I think ideas have to still come from human, but AI will make it easy to analyze and give us the path where to move forward.
As a healthcare delivery expert yourself, if you could just tell me certain areas where you can see the most innovation insofar as AI is concerned, which areas would they be?
I would say diagnosis, number one, and treatment planning as number two. These are the two areas I think AI will make a very big impact.
And also moving forward, when you talk about the overall diagnostic space itself, and you talk about the kind of PE and VC interest it's seen in the recent past, going forward, do you feel that a lot of this will also depend on where these investments come from? As of now, global players have been dominating the scene insofar as making these investments are concerned. Do you see a lot more Indian entities also coughing out money?
No, you saw the recent news about the large India-based entities also raising billions of dollars of private equity funding. So that is obviously going to be invested in India. So there is going to be a combination of global investors and domestic investors. Both will be, playing a very important role when it comes to healthcare overall, and including medical devices and medical technology.
Let's talk about the portfolio for a bit. For a long time now, you saw a certain class of companies being invested in, but if reports indicate anything at all, it's the smaller regional players now that could see a whole lot of investor interest. I'm talking about, sub 500 crore, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of valuation itself, seeing a lot more investor interest than before. Do you feel the time is right now for regional players to actually go about capitalizing on investor interest as far as these companies are concerned?
Yeah, because the larger national players are all gone to public markets, more or less. So now I think the interest is for regional consolidation. Hospitals with a couple of states or 2 or 3 states focus, or diagnostic players with regional focus, or single specialty with regional focus. All of them will start getting investment interest as a growth capital for fast tracking their growth, and ultimately there can be mergers of these regional players into the national players. This is what happened in the Western world, and I'm sure we are going to see that trend in India too.
So you could absolutely see consolidation being a hallmark of the medtech space, and if yes, if you could break that down in terms of how this consolidation will happen.
It's not only in medtech. If you look at health services, whether it is hospital space, single specialty, multi-specialty, diagnostics, medtech, all of them are going to go for consolidation as the time goes by. Because now everyone, right, because of this new world of insurance-oriented healthcare or government-enabled healthcare, people are looking for standardized care with branded standard players. So this means you need to create standard operating protocols, and that will make smaller and smaller institutions difficult to operate in the current atmosphere. So they will have to start merging into the larger players. So this consolidation is here to stay. Though India still have lots and lots of private healthcare enterprises, both in health tech space and also in health services space, but I think this consolidation is here to stay, and that will ultimately create larger entities. Compared to the Western world, we still don't have very, very large entities yet, but I think that all will become a reality in the next 10 years' time.
If you could break this down regionally now, you're a player in South India, largely based here, of course. Do you see a lot more interest in these parts when compared to other regions?
I know South India has been the healthcare capital for years. And if you see, the India's largest corporate hospital is based out of Chennai. Recently, even the India's largest eye care hospital listed hospital has been based out of Chennai. Or if you look at NGO space also, the many in eye care, in single specialty, multi-specialty, South has been in the forefront. So I think that's because of that they are also getting lots of investments in South India. So out of the maximum the healthcare investments happening in the country, South gets the biggest share, followed by West, followed by North, and then East. That's the model. So South will continue to attract more and more investments, and they will be not only aspiring to be a regional player, and many of the South entities are now looking at national aspiration and getting into not only national, now also international aspirations. You saw South-based players now both in diagnosis as well as in even like companies like ours in Newburgh now presence in Africa, US, Middle East and all that. So everyone is now also looking at international play, because all of us know healthcare cost in India is the lowest. The private healthcare cost is 1/20th of what it happens in the US or Western world. So there is a lot of appreciation for Indian healthcare entities, because we are able to provide care without compromising quality. So this is going to be welcome for everybody in the developing world particularly. And I'm sure the recent investment showed we can go to even larger Western entities and show how Indian healthcare make an impact.
Absolutely. And last question, and before I let you go, in your own journey itself, your companies are all set to embrace the IPO path going forward. If you could just help me with regard to timelines and which companies will go about listing first.
So the first one we are now looking at is in maybe in 12 to 18 months will be Newberg Diagnostics. That will be the first company will be going to public. Then followed by Max Vision Eye Hospitals. Within 2 years from now, we should be going for this. Then we have Trivitron. These are the three companies, I run, operate, and though I spend more of my executive time in Newberg, but I do guide the other two companies. Then Kaveri Hospitals, which is basically I act like an investor and a mentor of that. All these 4 institutions within 3 years should be going into 3 to 4 years. All these companies should be listed, and that's our aspiration and dream.